Hey, oh, hey, it's Jameka Laché. So, I know recently it just seemed like I do random self-pep talks, which is the point of helping other people pursue your dreams. But I would love to interview people who were able to find their voice later on in life. Here today, I have L'Oreal Henderson. For some reason, I still have her maiden name saved in my phone, which is weird. But the amazing thing about this lady is years ago, we were in college together in a gospel choir. And since then, she kind of just shows up when I kind of need that extra pep talk besides the ones I do here to myself. So she's written an awesome book. She is the wife and mother of one and the author of God, the graphic designer. My first question for you is, right before you decided to actually take that leap and write this book, what was going on internally?
With what I was meant to do in life, like with my purpose. I know for me, I struggled with working regular 9-to-5 jobs and going in and day out and working for other people and just seeing other people be so heavy and me feeling stuck where I was. Like I felt like I couldn't catch my breath. And through that, it also let me see a lot of people in the same breath who were struggling with living and working jobs that they just hated and despised. Like a lot of people feeling like they were stuck in situations that they couldn't get themselves out of. And I realized through that it wasn't necessarily me being there for myself, but more so I think to witness what other people were going through and to help them through it eventually. And at the time of me even thinking about writing the book, I had actually just gotten fired. So I didn't have a job. We had recently moved to a new city and I found a job, and that was supposed to be one of our bread and butters to be able to provide for our family. And then I had gotten fired right after that. But I believe that job was a blessing for me. Me getting fired, I never said that out loud, but getting fired was a blessing because it allowed me to find the vision for the book in the first place.
Right. I mean, I can see how that relates to a lot of people because they don't realize there's a life after this usually,
Hope that answers your question.
Yeah, no, it did. There are just a few things that popped out to me in your book. I know when I was, reading it, because I finally had time to sit still, it was a breath of fresh air to see how you merged you as your professional identity with your, faith identity. And I completely was inspired by that. So when did that vision to merge the two come to you?
I mean, when did the vision merge to write a book? And you mind saying your question one more time?
When did that vision come to you to merge your career with your faith into a book?
Sure. Yeah. Honestly, while I was at that job, I realized how stuck I felt. Mm-hmm. And I realized that there was a reason. I felt like there was a reason that God kept putting me in these situations, that I was always frustrated with where I was. And for a long time, I thought that my purpose meant doing something strictly with my art, and that my art was supposed to help people in any kind of aspect. Mainly what I was doing before with my business, I was providing graphic design services for local businesses and entrepreneurs around the city. And so I believed that my purpose was to help shed light on those organizations and build up the community. Mm-hmm. But later on, helping other people, it showed me that my art could be used in an even bigger way, and not just necessarily to build up people's businesses, but to build up people's lives, to change people's lives. Because I saw so many people just living, but nobody was living with a purpose. Nobody had any ambition, or they had went through so much that they felt broken. And so I wanted to do more with it. And that's when I realized that what my true spiritual gift was, being able to encourage and help people, and that my art wasn't necessarily meant to be the forefront. When I stepped out of the way, my art was meant to be an aid to my spiritual gift, to be able to uplift people using my art as a tool. And so when I looked at it from that perspective, I realized that I had a lot to say, and it was more than just a Facebook post or making a post on Instagram. It was something that needed to go into detail. Mm-hmm. And when I was younger, I started writing, and I used to keep a journal, and I thought it was just, something that I would do and later on pass down to my daughter or my son, whenever we had kids. But it turned out to be, as I started kind of organizing all of my thoughts, it ended up being chapters to a book, oddly enough. And after praying about it, I felt like this was something that I needed to pursue.
Wow. And that personally is inspiring, because I've seen other people that have gone through, and then they're like, what, this experience can be a book. So it's awesome that your creativity was changed in a different way, and it was be able to glorify God in that sense, and that's the most beautiful thing to me. Now I wanted to kind of switch gears a little bit and talk about some things that stuck out to me in the book. There are plenty, but I just want to talk about a few because people need to read it themselves. But you've mentioned on page 68 about sometimes having the knowledge of your purpose and direction can have you feeling rastered, which hinders you from living in the right now. So how would you suggest someone to track their progress of their purpose?
Yeah, sure. And so I guess for a little bit of context, of course, yes, read the book, but just for people to understand the word rastered, usually in design aspects, people would look at, when you're creating a logo, for example, preferring a vectored image over a rastered. Vectored means that they can take a shape of something and it can expand, and the bounds are limitless. It can go from a tiny Instagram post all the way to, a billboard that you see when you're driving down the street, versus being rastered, where there's tiny dots and pixels that make up that one picture. And if you stretch it too big, you're limited to a specific dimension that you created in the beginning.
Wow.
And so for me, I took those words to heart in a different way than I guess the normal designers that I've worked with. And I thought about, a lot of my life I had been in a rastered state of mind. I had everything settled when I thought I wanted it to be. And the bigger that God was pushing me into my purpose, I started to become distorted. I started to get weak because I was doing it in my own strength.
Right.
And me wanting to allow God to really completely take over and kind of submit to his will versus my own agenda, it pushed me to more of a vectored image, to where whatever the scale is or wherever he's pushing me, I want him to be able to use me on whatever scale, big or small, whatever area, and me have the capacity to be able to do that. But I had to give that up first. And a part of that was me actually evaluating where I was in life, and was I doing it based off of what he wanted me to do, or was I doing it just because I felt like it and it sounded good,
Right.
And it was a wide range of things that caused me to just kind of do a self check-in with myself.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of letting go of distractions, things that I know I had no business doing, whether that was crafts, picking up different trades, hobbies, people, letting go of removing people and things that didn't really mean anything for me, or I knew they had no business in the next season that God was pushing me towards. And one of the ones that I struggled the most with, but it was the simplest one, was just having an honest conversation with God. Be like, hey, listen, I'm struggling with X, Y, and Z, and this is going, and you said I was going to do this, but nothing's happening right now, and just praying about it and fasting and really having open conversations with God, because if he's the one that's going to he's given me my purpose, why not go to the source and ask him for, guidance with that.
While you were talking, I was really also thinking about the God vision, and I'm not sure if you finished your point because I was trying to wave someone that I was recording. but there's those God ideas versus good ideas. And so I know a lot of creatives and Christians struggle with that because they come up with ideas all the time. But what is actually meant to be pursued? So that when you found your purpose and have these other ways to interpret what you know based on your creative career, that is cool to me. So.
Yeah. It took a while to get there, and then it's not to say that I'm perfect, that I have it all figured out. Every day is a journey. Every thing that I go through is an experience for me to be able to build on and learn from. And I make mistakes. I'm human just like everybody else. But I think me making sure that I'm putting God first in everything that I do, even in the mindset that I have each day, and situations that I go through. If I'm allowing Him to lead me, it's going to give me a better outlook on what I have going on, no matter what it is.
With even that, there is a point where you realize that it was God telling you, and you said that you needed to go to a new season, or sometimes you can't take people into the next season.
Right.
How uncomfortable was that, or how did you find comfort in it? So that's like a 2-part question. So how uncomfortable was it for you? How did you handle that?
Man, it was completely out of my element. You go from just thinking that you're an ordinary person to where you're realizing that, wait a minute, the things that I'm going through in life, they really have purpose. And me speaking to people, it's really changing lives. So there may be something to it.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew, even at a younger age, that there was something higher, or that God was really pushing me to do something, but I never really knew specifically what it was. And I'm still learning what that is today, but a part of that process, it led me to where I'm losing people left and right. And the uncomfortable part was a lot of those people that aren't in my life. It's not to say that I don't necessarily talk to them. It's just the influence that they had over my life as far as weighing in on certain situations or leaning on them. I wanted to lean on people who I knew were in the direction of what God was pushing me towards. And if you weren't a part of that group, we're still cool, we're cordial and still friends, but you weren't going to be somebody in my inner circle that when I really needed the guidance, I had to look to the right people. I had to keep the right people in my source. It's like you want to play a basketball game and you want to put your top starting 5 that are going to push you to be able to get you through the tournament and win the game. You don't want to have anybody in your circle that's not going to aid in where God's pushing you. And that part was very difficult for me because, I have a lot of, there's certain people that have been in my life for forever, but I had become so stuck and complacent in where I was in life, but also in the relationships that I was keeping, because everybody can be around, but everybody's not meant for the whole stories. Some people are just meant for certain chapters. And once I finally realized that, it allowed it to be a little bit easier. And I learned how to put people in the place that they were, and meet people where they were. Mm-hmm. And I didn't talk to people as much as I used to, but that was okay, because I know that it's for a specific reason. Right. And the uncomfortable part as far as being in your purpose, it could be irritating, it's frustrating, you get anxious, but all those, it comes with the territory of being human, but I think what helps you push past it is, having a mindset of resilience and understanding that, okay, no matter what, even though I know I'm frustrated that I'm just at this point, those are the times most when you need to lean in and appreciate where you are. Right. Because if you're still stuck in that one particular season, there's something that God is really wanting you to learn. And I went through plenty of cycles, and the cycles were a blessing because it allowed me to see that I had been stuck and I wasn't appreciating where God had me at that moment.
Okay. Man, I was like listening in, so I realized that I wasn't even I was engulfed in that moment because it's a lot to be uncertain of okay, what to do next, who goes with me, how can they help, how can I help them was this relationship meant to last this long, or or is it before the long haul? So figuring out that part for you, how long would you say it took, just based around this book, like how long do you think it took you to realize, like, no, this is definitely it, without seeking validation from someone else?
I think it was when I looked around and I realized that everything that had happened in my life up until a certain point wasn't a result of me seeking validation from other people. Mm-hmm. The approval that I would normally look to for other people, or the guidance, or just the support that I normally would get from other people, the circumstances that me and my family were going through, it made no sense as to that being a result of, another person or friendship or something else. It was legit going through those situations. You knew it had to be nothing but God. And so I know it allowed me to see, like, okay, well, if all of this happened and I'm still being sustained and I'm still being taken care of, and He's providing every need, whether it be mentally or physically, or something that me and my family needed, it's being taken care of. So why would I seek validation from these people who aren't going to be able to give me that same result? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And even, I talk about a lot of it in the book, but certain situations that have happened to us, it was nothing short of a miracle, because it was God who brought us through.
Right.
And I won't give too many details because, I would love for you guys to read the book, but there was a lot that we went through that if it weren't for God, we wouldn't have made it through. And still today, So
Mm-hmm.
there are little mini miracles, I'd like to say.
Yeah, I mean, that validation is really hard, especially because, like, social media, you're always pushed someone else's thing, or even if you are in Christ and you don't really have, like, a strong foundation, sometimes you get swayed to think of other things, like this will work and that'll work. But then it's, that staying focused and, being firm in who you are is kind of hard for some people. So
no, even 100%. Like, I'm not discrediting how hard it is, because because like I said, when I say I went through cycles, there's a chapter in the book it's called Redo and Undo, where I talk about me having to go through the same situation over and over and over again, because I either didn't learn or I just gave up, and I'm like, okay, this is getting hard. I'm not feeling it today, and just but after so many tries, you're like, okay, I gotta push myself, because obviously the only way I'm gonna get out of this is doing it the right way.
Yeah. Now, to get to that point, even just without someone knowing God, like, what would you say to someone for them to be interested to know God if they seem to be all over the place?
What would you say for somebody to be interested?
Yeah, in God, if they seem to be all over the place, or if they're uncertain of things, and
sure.
Beyond that validation,
For me, it was just testing God,
Mm-hmm.
Because He wants us to do that. He wants us to reach out and have a relationship with Him.
It's Jameka Laché. So that last portion of the video got cut off, and L'Oreal was saying how important it is to build a relationship with God to understand how to recognize when you need more of God in your life. Now, this next portion of the podcast will be about the relationships that were formed with people to bring her vision of God, the graphic designer, to life. Thank you so much for listening this far. Continue to enjoy and be encouraged.
Encouraging me. Terrence was super supportive. I mean, there were nights where I would wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning and I'm like, okay, I got a chapter idea. And that same chapter idea, I want to scribble it up, and he'd be like, no, put that in the book. That's something that you need to share. Or having friends encouraging me, telling me what you're going through is going to be meant to share and is meant to be shared and so that you can, change people's lives. So I think it was the weight of what I was saying needed to be said, and making it less about me and more about how it can help other people. Because coming from a background, my parents are both registered nurses, and seeing them take on, a level of caring for people in a physical aspect, I knew whatever I wanted to do in life, I wanted to help people, but that particular career isn't my calling, but I knew that even with my art, I said I wanted to change people's lives using art, and doing it in either an unconventional way or a different way that people would normally look at. So when I changed the way I looked at, the book, and not putting so much pressure on, oh my gosh, I'm writing a book, versus, wow, I'm just sharing what I went through to help somebody else. And that's what shifted it from just being words on a paper to where people are actually having it in their hands and reading it.
No, that perspective shift and support, that's all beautiful, because I can definitely relate to trying to care for someone, because you know that your gift is supposed to help other people, and then it makes room for you. And so it's just, okay, well then who actually I'm supposed to help and how? A lot of people struggle with that, especially if they've been in a vein of like, I don't think I've actually been doing what I'm supposed to do. Like, I feel like I'm almost there, but something's kind of off. And how are you able to recognize that all of this will not be possible without God? Like, it's an idea for people to benefit from it, but how did you for sure know that was that God idea?
Because a lot of people have this misconstrued idea of what they think God is supposed to sound like when he speaks to you. I think everybody thinks he's supposed to be like some almighty voice, and it's really just, I listened to Stephen Furtick recently, and he had a beautiful way of explaining it, and he mentioned that when God speaks to you, it's just you processing thoughts, and how him coming to you and speaking to you, either through other people or indirectly through dreams, and a repetition of it. For me, I had never, there were times when I was younger and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna write a book, and it was all just for fun. But on a serious note, I had never ever in my life thought about writing a book. It was never on my mind, on my radar. So I'm like, okay, but this thought is different. That's not something that I've ever thought of. And from in a more detailed aspect, I was thinking about writing a book to change other people's lives. Like, that's something I never really fathomed that I would be able to do, let alone have the courage and, the want to do it in the first place. So I knew, I'm like, okay, well, that thought doesn't sound like L'Oreal that I know in my head, you know what I mean? And I kept getting different validations from other people, other sources. Normally, it would come in a variety of different ways. Like, people say, hey, you do well with words, or when you speak, this works, or I love this encouragement. Even something as simple as me taking notes at church and sharing them with people, and people explaining how they were able to process what the pastor was saying in a different way just because of how it was written. So there were a lot of different things that kind of popped up in my life, and I'm like, maybe there's something to this. And then when the idea of a book came, I legit was sitting at a job that I had no idea I was about to get fired from. And I would have never written that book had I not been there, because while I was there, the particular job had me just doing one tedious thing the entire shift. Yep. And I was always the person where if I got bored, I had a notebook next to me, either to doodle, write down thoughts. And as I began to, just every day for 2 weeks straight, I was jotting different thoughts. And I think towards the last couple days of me actually losing my position there, I realized that I had actually wrote out chapters. Yeah. What seemed like chapters. And I'm like, where did this come from? And then boom, I get fired. I'm like, really, God? You give me a job?
Right.
Right. You just give me a job, but then you just take it from me, not realizing the magnitude of, if I hadn't been there and had time to actually sit and think and listen and, really hear my thoughts, I probably wouldn't have written it out. Right. Because life is so fast, especially with this pandemic, it's giving me time to really just kind of slow down and think and meditate and, pray. And at that time when I was at that job, that's probably the most that I actually sat down and just thought. I hadn't done it in a long time.
Right.
And so being fired at that particular time was a blessing. All of them have been, I've been at many of jobs, but the lessons that I've learned from them have been just huge blessings in disguise. They didn't feel like it at the time. Now, don't get me wrong. It's never easy to lose a position, but I think now being on the other end of it and seeing the value of the lessons that I learned, I don't think I would change it. Obviously, I wouldn't change anything.
Yeah. I know the beautiful thing about transition is some people really don't know how to handle it while they're in it. Or they don't know if this is a new cycle. So how did you know that cycle actually ended for you?
When the things that I was struggling with went away, or when they would either go away or when they would come up, and my response to them would be different. I'm trying to think of an example. I'll just use me. When I was younger, I had a short temper, attitude, and I had a problem with ignorant authority at a lot of the jobs. And it was just something that I struggled with because I just realized, I don't really think I'm supposed to be working for other people, but this is what I have to do in my life. I got to put aside that because bills still have to get paid.
Yeah.
And realizing that, it made me very impatient to a lot of the leaders that were in my life. But how I knew that I got past it and that particular cycle was over was how I responded to them shifted. I stopped looking at them as the bad guy, but looking at them as, okay, if these people are treating me this certain kind of way, it must be something going on with them that makes them feel that that's okay. Or maybe I'm not the only one that's having life situations going on too. They've probably got different things that they're struggling with at home. And I found myself, instead of yelling or saying other words, calling them names behind their back under my breath, instead of doing that, I found myself praying for them.
Right.
Or going to them and asking, how's your day? How are you doing?
Yeah.
And some of those actually, bloomed great relationships with a lot of those people.
Yeah.
Either that I worked with or that were, in leadership roles above me. Or even if we didn't speak, it was a peace between us.
Right.
It made it more tolerable to work with them. And that's just one example, but me changing the way that I saw things helped me out a lot there.
Yeah. It's definitely beautiful to pray for like someone or a situation that you are uncomfortable in, to bring that peace in. Yeah.
Yeah, it was easy. A lot of the prayers are like, when in the beginning when I started, it was just like, Lord help me. I don't like them. Help me like them enough today to get through my job. Or to going into detail, like, okay, Lord, they look like they're struggling. They were just rude to me, but maybe that's not, because of me, maybe it's something else that they've got going on. So just kind of be with them, And so just having a random conversation to myself, it turned out to where I was actually trying to look out for the well-being of that person versus,
Exactly.
trying to battle with them.
Exactly. Looking out for the well-being of someone else because you know that they need it is a beautiful thing. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I have, besides, where can we find you? I wanted to talk a little bit about Hope plus Prayer because I know that page really helped me because, we know without faith is the substance of things hoped for, and we know that, and the evidence of things not seen. So we have to hope that we can see these things that we're praying for.
Yeah.
How many times do you think, I guess it's probably hard to count, but that you felt like you may be losing hope that this baby that you have in your, brain on your computer might just be something that is just meant to be there? And I know I feel like I asked this question before, but something.
So you're saying, how did I know that it was supposed to be, or how did I?
Yeah, like while you were in the process of it and you were supposed to help people, that hope that you had that it would work.
Yeah.
Well, besides, getting that first sale, where exactly was that confirmation based off of your hope. And did
Man.
you lose hope during it?
Oh, yes. Yeah, I did. I would be lying if I said that I didn't, or if I didn't have a lack of. But that's why I said having that circle, that positive circle of, having God remove, different things and different people in my life and adding to me. A lot of the friendships that I have now that helped me with the book, I didn't even, if the friends heard this, they would know. I didn't even know them, didn't like them, didn't want to be friends with them, but they just got placed in my life, and they were a blessing. And I really believe that those people were meant to be here, especially during the season, to help me push through this. Even all the way, and I'll be completely transparent, even all the way up to me actually being at the book signing.
Mm-hmm.
The book, I had an issue with the printer to where the book wasn't going to be out in time for people to buy it the day before, a couple of days before the book signing, and having to go through different vendors to figure out how I was going to get it printed, what I was going to do with my website. There were so many different things that I, chose not to share with people, just because, you tell people, hey, I'm writing a book, but I don't know how you're going to get it. They're going to look at you like you don't know what you're doing,
Right.
Which a lot of the time I didn't. I got guidance from people that I knew, or Google was my best friend
Mm-hmm.
at the time. But I think the ultimate confirmation for me that allowed me to probably never lose hope after that moment again was at the actual book signing, like the day that it came out. Mm-hmm. Because at this point, I'm already, nervous, or what are people going to think? I'm anxious, trying to figure out how it was going to go. And there were two women there at the book signing, and I was grateful for the turnout. But I didn't know these women. They had come in, and they were actually just shopping in the bookshop, and they were about to leave, but then they heard me start speaking. And afterwards, everybody was setting up and coming to buy their book, and one of the ladies came up to me, and she just told me how she was struggling in life, and that she had been a registered atheist among her community, and that she had just been struggling in life, but she wanted to have a relationship with God, because she felt like whoever could help me go through the things that I went through had to have been somebody that she needed to have a relationship with. And for her to want to buy my book and get to know God more, I'm just like, I don't know if I don't have anybody else buy this book, this one person's life completely can be, was changed because of it. And, we were able to get her a book that day, and I signed it for her. And she was just such an amazing woman, and just so curious and wanting to have, a better life for herself. And that woman really gave me back hope that I had lost even previously in that day, because, you get bogged down by everything that's going on around you. And then you have that one moment where you're just like, this is why I did what I did. And it came full circle, and even if I never sell another book, being able to change that woman's life that day. And I don't know who she is. I don't know her name. But being able to just meet her and shake her hand and know that I made an impact, and God made an impact, and I was just a vessel to be able to do that. It's just, that right there gave me a lot more of the hope that I thought that I lost.
Wow. That winning, you serve the purpose of the book. And so I'm just like kind of speechless in a sense, because, man, that's the most beautiful thing that could happen, is to actually witness that person, getting the reviews and things. It's cool, but that face-to-face interaction and knowing that this is going to change someone's life for sure.
And it was just a glance of what God could do, and I'm just like, man, that was not me. I don't take any credit for that, but I'm so grateful that I'm so grateful that I didn't give up when my mind told me to, and I kept pushing, mm-hmm. because you never know who's missing out on their blessing because you're too scared, or you're in fear of where you are right now. And by you pushing a little bit further and actually reaching where you're supposed to be, it can legit change somebody's life. And the person who's giving the blessing, we might not think that it's a big deal, but that one little thing can be all that person needed, to either, I'll even go as far to take their life or have something be given to them to where their life is added to. You never know the magnitude of your blessing and what your talents and your gifts can do for other people.
Right. Especially when you bless someone and they don't know that they've been blessed. They're still trying to figure out. But man, I really appreciate all of this, because I know this, wow, could talk about this all day. But I just want to see if you could just provide where we could find you and your book.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm on Instagram. It's at L'Oreal.Henderson. So that's, for people who don't know how to spell my first name, that's totally fine. It's like the makeup. It's LOREAL.Henderson, HENDERSON. And everybody can also find me on my website to view art as well as purchase the book there at www.lstdesignsconsulting.com.
Well, I thank you so much for your time.
Very welcome. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure. I enjoyed it.
Yay! Because no, it's been a long time. Because I've been like, I'm going to do this. I had to get that sit down.
Absolutely. I'm patient for things that are worth it. You know what I mean? So I'm grateful that you enjoyed the book and that you got what you needed from it and you wanted to talk about it. I'm all for it.
Man, well, I will see you soon after all this pandemic stuff is over. But I will hopefully keep in touch. I'm working on better consistency with communication, because I know I'll get busy when I'm not supposed to be. So, right. Well, yeah, thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you. You too.
Right. Well, that was L'Oreal Henderson, the author of God, the graphic designer, and I am Jameka Laché. Thank you for listening. Pass, y'all. Best of luck to you.